Back with you here on the Newsfeed PM. 9 minibus taxis were set alight at the Nyanga rank in Cape Town in the early hours of Friday morning. This comes nearly a month after a deadly shooting at the rank. A year ago, taxis were also set alight at that rank. For more on this, we're joined now by the MEC for Mobility in the Western Cape, Isaac Sileku. MEC, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. What do you know about the torching of these 9 taxis, and what is likely going to be the impact of that in the taxi industry in the province?
Well, Thabo, good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me. What we know now is that as much as the speculation is about routes, it's not about routes. With the information that we have, which is not confirmed, is that there's a disagreement between associations, which is specifically CATA. And I was there myself at the taxi rank, and it's business as usual. There's been a lot of police that has been deployed for visibility, and people are able to use other modes of transport, some taxis that are still operational. But it's very unfortunate that people have to lose their livelihood by someone having to torch 9 taxis in this day and age.
CATA believes that this torching was to send a particular message to, I suppose, a particular people. And of course, they are lamenting deep concern over the recurring of financial losses. Is this likely going to, spark other issues, considering, of course, you and I have had this conversation before and the history of violence in that particular province?
No, Thabo, whenever there is disagreements between individuals, torching of minibus taxis, it's totally unacceptable. And we are not going to tolerate what has happened in Nyanga. It's not the first time, it's the second time now that is happening. But I am sure, and I can assure you now, whenever people are thinking of making sure of destabilizing, the industry of inconveniencing the commuters by having rogue elements within the minibus taxi industry, we as the Department of Mobility, we are not going to tolerate that. We are going to act. And because we need to grow this economy, and we need to make sure that people are able, to go to work, able to go to school. But if there are elements in the industry that would want to take that right away from them, from the side of mobility, we are not going to tolerate that.
Now, you would remember when I spoke to you last, we were talking about a lasting solution to this particular challenge. What are the efforts that have been achieved so far in reaching that lasting peace within the Western Cape taxi industry?
Thabo, from the side of mobility, it's very unfortunate. Honestly, I've been in office for more than a year now, and I've been consistently saying to the industry, I really want to work with the industry. And from the side of mobility, we have programs where we are taking the industry members for mediation training, executive management training. We have peace ambassadors. There's engagements between me and the industry. But we still find that there are those in the industry that are not, willing to work with us. But I have said to the department on Friday, this cannot continue. I am looking at a plan where I'm going to share with the media in how I am going to, to change this industry, whether the industry likes it or not, within our powers as the Department of Mobility, to make sure that whatever is happening in the industry does not continue going on. So the industry is going to get the message very soon in terms of what Isaac Sileku, the Minister of Mobility, and his team is going to implement to make sure that whatever is happening comes to an end.
So, 3 areas that you would know very well that have been highlighted, that you yourself have highlighted. One, they are unresolved disputes. These are the challenges to lasting peace. What's going to happen to these disputes? Despite agreements, you can have the summits, you can have the ambassadors, they can sign, but of course these disputes remain, and therefore the violence persists.
No, the disputes will always remain because there's always this gentleman agreement between associations. They would agree on how they are going to operate. And we have come to understand that those are not acceptable, agreements, and that's what we want to change. We need to make sure that people comply with their operating licenses. If you're not supposed to operate, then you don't operate. Then if you operate, you operate. And those that are not supposed to be operating, then we as the Department of Mobility must make sure we apply our law and make sure that we change this industry. But we have to do what has never been done before and make sure that we change how they're actually dealing with themselves in the industry.
And how do you open this new chapter? I know you're saying there's constant engagement with the associations when others, for example, are still lamenting high levels of fatalities. I mean, others would say we've lost 15 plus operators. Those are lives. You don't just open a new chapter.
That's what I was saying that's what I keep on saying to the industry as well. It can no longer be acceptable that whenever there are people that are losing their lives, we come and we write media statements and say we condone, we send our condolences, and nothing happens. So from the side of SAPS must also come to the party, because there's been a lot of people losing their lives. I was in Atlantis the other day. I saw the parents. It was not nice. And we still have lost a lot of people, but we still don't know if there's been people that have been arrested. So SAPS must also come to the party, because this is a whole of society approach. SAPS must do what they need to do. Santaco Western Cape must do what they must do. Mobility must do what they need to do. That is the only way how we are going to nip this in the bud, if all of us do what is expected from everyone.
By everybody doing what they need to do, are you also, talking about issues of regulation? Because there are unregulated operators, there are illegal operators, there are pirate taxis, there are all sorts of things that are causing these particular tensions. How are you intervening there?
No, I've done it. We just recently, I went to Atlantis myself. We had an operation there where we impounded 6 taxis. We are telling them, if you are not supposed to be on this route, we are going to impound you. And I'm not apologetic about that. If it means we have to go to taxi rank and look at all operators there, if they got the right documentation to operate, we need to do that. That's what we're going to be doing as mobility this year. We are going to bring back stability in the industry. If it means that we have to do things that have never been done before, going to taxi rank, looking at each and every taxi, whether it's supposed to be there or not, we are going to do that. We are not going to laugh, because we have lost too many lives and it's unacceptable.
Commuters, you're saying, yes, they are still using the transportation, and you're saying you've went down on the ground. Everything is operating as normal. However, some commuters have expressed the feeling that they no longer feel safe at taxi ranks because of this fighting between associations. How do you allay their fears?
No, Thabo, I have said it when it comes to taxi ranks, unfortunately, we are not responsible as mobility. That's why we are saying from the side of the city of Cape Town, we need to make sure that we fix our taxi ranks. We need to make sure we take back, our power from our taxi ranks, where the operators are actually, owning the taxi rank. They do as they like. And for instance, for parking, overnight parking at our taxi ranks, which is not acceptable. That's why there was torching, because people are parking their taxis at the taxi rank, which is not acceptable. But from the side of mobility, working together with SAPS, we are going to do everything in our power to protect them and protect their lives by making sure there is visibility while we are looking at the long-term solution.
Let me see, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. Isaac Sileku, the Western Cape Mobility MEC, after the torching of 9 taxis at the Nyanga taxi rank there.